All right, folks, it is November the 6th, 2025. And of course, a lot's going on in the world as usual. And we'll be talking about that here on Pod TV, seeing what folks' reactions are to a number of these news stories and what they've got on their minds as well. So, like I said, a lot's going on in the world. And we're always glad to talk about that here on Pod TV and hear what folks have got to say about a number of these news stories. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will retire from Congress. She's saying that she won't seek re-election into Congress, so she's announced her retirement from Congress after decades of serving in that capacity. So that's one of the news that is coming from folks in that sense, and all along those lines. Devastating typhoon kills at least 114 in the Philippines, officials say. So there's even some footage like on BBC of where you can see cars piling up in the Philippine streets after the typhoon. Philippines face grim typhoon aftermath as another storm is nearing. So after battering the Philippines, the deadly typhoon Kalmega has moved towards Vietnam. Russia close to its biggest capture of a Ukrainian city since 2023. So as Pakharitz is set to fall, Ukraine must choose to fight or save troops. So that is something that people are talking about as Ukraine is facing the potential fall of Pakharitz to Russia after an 18th month battle of attrition. So Russia forces in Ukraine may be nearing their first major conquest in more than 2 years. The Louvre heist suspect in social media star and former museum guard, reports say. So they're saying that they were a social media star and a former museum guard. So the password to Louvre's video surveillance system was Louvre, according to employee. So they always say don't do anything that is obvious in your passwords. And I'm thinking that something like the name of the organization might be an obvious. But French auditors are slamming the Louvre for prioritizing art over security, and the Louvre Museum will need years to fix the security issues a state auditor has found. Mexican President Sheinbaum to press charges after a man groped her on a walk. So that was something we had talked about on yesterday. And the Mexico president presses charges against the man who groped her on the street. And Mexican women are outraged by a public sexual assault on their president. So definitely looks like she's taking some legal action in that space. As we also talked about yesterday, Japan is deploying soldiers to deal with bear attacks. So Japan deploys the military to counter a surge in bear attacks, and troops deployed to Akita after a record sighting. So definitely they'll be trying to fight off those bears. And attackers board a ship off the coast of Somalia after firing rocket-propelled grenades. And inside Gaza, BBC sees total devastation after 2 years of war. So definitely NPR was saying that their correspondent was finally allowed into Gaza as well. And France 24 said a wasteland when they were given a rare glimpse of the war ravaged Gaza. And Israel kills more Palestinians in Gaza as U.S. peace plan is given to the UN. So U.S. and Palestinian diplomats meet at the UN to discuss Gaza resolution. U.S. is promoting Gaza force at UN to back Trump's fragile truce. And Hamas is afraid Gaza will become Lebanon. So is Israel. And that was reported by the Times of Israel. And two critically injured after a driver rams into people on a French island. So driver rammed into pedestrians in Western France. Five were injured. So the injury report is actually looks like it might have gone up. Driver in custody after intentionally striking pedestrians in France, Interior Minister says. So it looks like this was an intentional attack. And China delays the return of their astronaut after debris may have hit the spacecraft. So Chinese astronauts stranded in space after debris strikes return capsule during its mission. So Chinese astronauts returned to Earth, delayed over fears the spaceship has been damaged by debris. So that's something else that's being talked about in the news as well. Let's get to some of the U.S. news, and then I'll bring in folks from the panel and see what they've got to say about a number of these stories. And of course, we'll be talking about a number of these stories. FAA is warning of air traffic cuts Friday if government shutdown continues. U.S. flights could soon get slashed if the shutdown continues. So definitely, this will be definitely impacting people's travel plans as we get nearer to the Thanksgiving holiday. FAA says it's cutting thousands of flights a day starting this week due to the shutdown, and definitely a lot of the major airports are being impacted in that sense. And 12 deaths tied to Louisville plane crash. UPS World Port operations restarts, and the UPS plane that crashed was 34 years old and repaired back in September. She's all I got. Families are awaiting news on the missing after the Louisville UPS plane crash. So there are people that are waiting to hear whether there are some survivors in that situation as well. California Republicans are vowing to continue to fighting Prop 50. Pressure on Republicans after California map vote gives Democrats a critical win. Republicans are taking stock of Newsom, a tier one Democrat, after Prop 50, and Republicans swiftly filed lawsuit in a bid to block California's new House map. And from Jamie Dimon to Bill Ackman, Wall Street's billionaires are now looking at what's going on in New York and everything like that. So they're saying that Mamdani's real fight has just begun. He has picked an all-female team for new solutions to old problems. So, and apparently he's also accepting resumes. So maybe some of our folks here at Pod TV might be sending resumes up to him and all along those lines. And Democrats tapped the brakes on ending the government shutdown. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as shutdown progress in doubt as Democrats grow emboldened from election win. So definitely this is something going on as well. And Senate to vote on legislation to stop unauthorized war against Venezuela. So Senate to vote on war powers resolution aimed at blocking the U.S. strikes on Venezuela. And key Republicans waver ahead of the war powers vote. Uh, Definitely. So this will be a story that'll see how much impact Trump has in terms of that being able to attack Venezuela. And stocks drop as traders eye trade, and Supreme Court is looking at the tariff case. I know that Nick was talking about that yesterday, and it looks like Trump's lawyers could pull off another surprise Supreme Court win for their boss. So we'll see if that happens or not in terms of what Sasha was talking about with modern investment on the stock market today. The Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ wavered as layoffs jump. And key Tesla votes are looming as well. And on tariffs, Neil Gorsuch speaks up for a fading Congress. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. Democrats won big because they won over Trump supporters. So Shapiro on Democrats' election wins. Voters are tired of chaos and extremism. 2 days that tarnish Trump's aura of absolute power is what some folks are saying as well. And Nick Fuentes' rise puts MAGA movement in a time of choosing. So Nick Fuentes leads the MAGA into the anti-Semitic gutter. And it definitely looks like some people are saying that critical theory paved the way for Nick Fuentes. So the New York Times opinion section, despite Charlie Kirk's opposition to white national influencer Nick Fuentes and mainstream conservatives, has become more open to him in the wake of Kirk's killing. So it looks like Nick Fuentes may be taking over some of the leadership of the MAGA and all along those lines. And SNAP recipients will now get up to 65% of November food stamp benefits, Trump administration is saying. Trump administration tells judge it will partially fund SNAP benefits using contingency funds. So USDA revises SNAP reduction plan to provide more partial benefits in November. And Trump says election puts shutdown pressure on Republicans. So we'll see if this is the case or not. And Trump is blaming the shutdown for Republican losses on election day. So lots going on in the world, including indict first, investigate second, judge questioning the Department of Justice in Comey's case. So judge in Comey's case is scolding prosecutors as he orders them to produce records from the probe. Highly unusual new warning signs for DOJ's Trump-ordered case against Comey. So, like I said, lots going on, and we'll bring folks in. And by the way, Trump is ramping up pressure on his own party to nix the filibuster as the shutdown drags on. So, it definitely looks like Trump may be swaying some Republican senators on filibuster changes. And the Heritage staff in open revolt over leaders' defense of Tucker Carlson. So, it looks like there's a fierce backlash within the GOP after Tucker Carlson gave some praise apparently to white nationalist Nick Fuentes and all along those lines. So definitely there seems to be some fraction within what's going on in that sense and all along those lines. We'll bring in Rick Rosner. Also have got Sasha Starr, and it looks like Nick may be in the background and everything like that. And we've got Jacoby, so we'll see if Nick jumps on camera and everything like that. So what's our thoughts on the shutdown and some of the other stories that I mentioned, including the fall of one of the cities?
We're number one. We are number one, the longest shutdown in U.S. history. So, yay, America.
Yay, number one, longest shutdown.
That's all that winning. That's what the winning was.
With Thanksgiving 3 weeks away, and who wants to get on a plane with air traffic controllers who haven't been paid and are now, some of whom are now working second jobs, that's not a good thing. Nick is not coming to America in the near future.
No, it's fine. I don't see what the problem is. I'm going to be flying to Ephesus in January, and we don't have any problems here. Then I'll go on to Istanbul, and I don't see what the problem. Oh wait, you guys are having problems because the Democrats won't vote to open up the government. Okay, I got that, but that's the problem. The Republicans don't care. So between that, you have this impasse.
But wait a minute, did you hear what I just said? That Trump is even blaming his own party. So he's saying that he's his own party.
Yeah, but what he wants him to do is to end the filibuster rule. But that doesn't, just because Trump wants it doesn't mean he gets it. So the thing is, this thing could go on till next year. So in the meantime, I'm going to have a great Mediterranean dinner here in Spain, in Barcelona, enjoying the wonderful weather that we have here. And I guess you guys in the U.S. are having some issues. Oh, and you may not win that tariff thing too. So that Trump may go down the toilet on that one. I was listening to
what's making you say that? I thought it looked good in oral argument.
No, did you listen to the oral arguments? It was horrible. What was also very horrible.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Trump may not win it.
Trump may not win.
Yeah.
But what was really bad is that there was an amicus brief that actually could have supported Trump, and Trump's attorney didn't pick it up, but Kavanaugh did and said, guys, why didn't you address this particular issue? Now, obviously, the other side didn't want to address it because it wasn't in their favor, but this shows you that was not really good lawyering and the amicus brief actually picked it up. What also got me, I was very impressed. They had somebody in the Supreme Court either read it or had one of their staffers read the amicus briefs, because usually amicus briefs get thrown in the trash can, but apparently they went through it. So it'll be very interesting. Now, here's their argument, kind of interesting. In the law, the law that gave Trump the regulatory authority to negotiate with other countries, regulatory authority. Their interpretation of regulatory authority, it also includes tariffs, okay? But this has been done time and time again where it has included tariffs, and there'd be the word tariffs would be limiting of to what you could do in a tariff, 15% to maximum like 150 days. This statute that he's relying on does not have the word tariff in it. It gives him regulatory authority, but not specifically tariffs. So their argument is regulatory authority means it includes tariffs. The other side is, wait, it doesn't. If you want to put tariffs in, put it in the bloody statute, and you didn't. So the thing is,
Trump picks his lawyers the way Fox News picks its reporters.
Oh yeah,
pretty ladies, and he picks guys with big square heads. That doesn't mean that they're good at law.
I mean, every time I look through their CVs and I go, man, the law firms I interviewed with, you wouldn't even get the time of day. Pam Bondi, okay, she went to Stetson, which, by the way, is a top 100 school now. It's ranked 99th. Seriously. But the major firms in New York and Washington wouldn't even go to interview people there. And she's what? The Attorney General of the United States?
Hey, Nick, I got a question for you, because there's another case, and you're in the law and everything like that, and I mentioned it in the news. But apparently some folks are upset. I think even Sasha has mentioned a couple of times about these attacks on fishing boats or small boats in Venezuela. So they are another case that will be looking at his authority in terms of war power. So there's going to be this war power vote that will probably try to limit what he can do with Venezuela. So what is your take on this particular case with the War Power Act?
That's a good question. I mean, you realize, though, unless you have something definite, the Supreme Court is loaded 6-3 in favor of conservatives, basically in favor of Trump. So unless you have something that's really compelling, like this what's going to tell a lot is this tariff argument. If Trump wins this, he'll win everything, because the thing is, this is such a horrible case for him. If he loses it, then it's a good chance he may even lose the one dealing with Venezuela and
because the Senate it's not a court case. The Senate will be voting on the war power resolution, because I think
and the Senate controls chain.
We should check in with Sasha, who isn't Ukraine knocking the hell out of Russia's oil industry right now with drones?
That's what we hear, but is that true? Well, Sasha.
Okay. Yes, Ukraine inflicts very heavy damages. So they destroyed around 20% of Russian oil refineries. That alone is really something. But the thing doesn't stop here. The Ukraine holds its position against Russians who, in a place like Pokrovsk, they accumulated 170,000 troops to attack, and they attack several times a day and losing incredible amount of people, something like 1,500 a day, and they cannot move even few meters ahead, as they're taking one building, next day Ukrainians take it back. So this battle reminds very much Stalingrad battle. Maybe on a smaller scale, but not much smaller, to tell you the truth. So this is really what's happening, and I think, and they continue, of course, bombardment of the civilians in Ukrainian cities. The infrastructure, especially with the winter coming up, it's really horrible situation, as their level of aggressiveness, the not complying with any international norms of how you conduct the war, or so on. So the Russians are saying, actually, that, look, nobody is going to give us orders what to do and how to do. We are going now to impose our will. And if we are not so successful with Ukraine, because we are not using the ultimate weapon, like the nuclear weapons, but we are ready to use them against all others, including United States. And this is what we are employing right now, and some missiles or so on. You know what? I'll tell you one thing, that United States, last time that they had a testing of their warheads, it was 1992. So they never had this test since 1992. And I think this is a horrible, horrible mistake. Why? Because during the Cold War, both Russia and the Soviet Union and the United States, they conducted tests. So both sides knew that their equipment is up and ready to be used in perfect condition, and this is why the nuclear war was impossible at that time. Today, 30-some years later, nobody knows whether these weapons in their working condition, if they can be still used, because 30 plus years, it's a long way. And without that, there is temptation of some rogue countries, like whether Russia or North Korea or somebody else, to try to see if American weapons are still in good condition. Are they working? Are they all working? Let's try and see what's happened.
So, but nuclear weapons, or the physics is simple. A uranium bomb, all you do is smash together two hunks of uranium. maybe you need to replace the conventional explosives that smashes them together. But other than that, they should work fine. Plutonium's more complicated. You need to take a ball of plutonium with a mystery ball in the middle to amplify the neutrons, and that the plutonium weapons might, not work as well as you want after 30 years, but the uranium weapons should be fine.
Yeah, and you can also look at them on YouTube. They have Zarabama, which is on YouTube, which is the biggest bomb ever exploded, not underground. And it is fantastic. The Russians exploded it. It almost killed the people that dropped it because it was so big and so powerful. And Russia has purportedly 5,000 nuclear weapons. The United States also has 5,000. The European Union, where I live, 500. We have 1/10.
Each country, Russia and the U.S., they have 1,700 teed up in missiles attached to missiles that can move. The most of the 5,000 are sitting there, I think, not ready to go. But each country has 17 ready to go, including more than 800 apiece on submarines, because you can't stop missiles fired from submarines because they're right off your coast.
You can. Yeah. So the thing is, actually, we live in very dangerous times. We just tend to ignore it. Because the thing is, and these missile, you can go on the internet and look at this. They're very impressive. They blow up a lot of stuff, and it doesn't really take that much to blow up a lot of stuff. But that's not really the problem. The problem is once they launch all this stuff, okay, the world is pretty much destroyed, and the people that survived, and there will be survivors, are going to live pretty miserably for the next several centuries.
Well, you're in Spain. All you have to do is cross the Strait of Gibraltar. All you have to do is cross the Mediterranean into the southern hemisphere, and you'll get to live longer than everybody in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, probably. You have to go down to Morocco. You take Gibraltar and get the heck out. But the real problem is because of all the fallout and you want to see serious climate change. The climate change that could take place, the fallout that could take place, the radioactive. All the people that will live, frankly, pretty horribly if they survive the nuclear holocaust. And the stats show that there will be millions of survivors, but they're just not going to live very good. And we won't listen to climate change. We won't have to listen to Greta Garbo, or whatever her name is in Sweden. You're in my generation. Let me tell you, the atomic bombs can ruin everybody's generation. It would be
the dogs in the nuclear meltdown town of Chernobyl. They have the town's been taken over by dogs. Because people aren't allowed to live there because it's radioactive. Some of the dogs have turned blue.
Oh, really?
And I've seen pictures, and it's hard to tell whether it's a mutation or whether they just got into some blue paint. I don't know, but it's.
No. I'm pretty sure it's a mutation. I'm pretty sure it's pretty bad. So the skirmish that they have in Ukraine, the question is if and when it's going to. How's this thing going to end? Where's it going to end? Is this going to continue on? It's going to be like World War I that doesn't stop, because Europeans love wars. I mean, that's the reason America wanted to stay out, because for years, Europeans, they'd fight over everything, So why drag America into the war? Well, right now, what the heck is going on here, and how does it benefit anybody? That's what I don't see. What's the big win here?
And when you're saying that America doesn't like war, yet they send Armada to Venezuela. Of course, what they want in Venezuela: oil and natural resources. All this tales about this cocaine and about other things. This is all really nothing, because Venezuela is not cocaine-producing country, and even their boss, they will never be able to cross the Caribbean to reach the American shore. So whenever they were shooting these boats, killing people there, it's it's more to do with the pirates. But pirates were smarter, because when they were taking the ship, they were trying to extract the gold and whatever was there on the ship. Now this case, they are killing people without any gains for themselves. Absolutely. So now Russia and the usual suspects like North Korea, Iran, China, whoever else is there, they are now sending their equipment and weapons to Venezuela. So now US, in order to get their gains as to control the oil and mineral resources of Venezuela, they will have to fight Russians and Iranians and whoever else is coming there. So is that something what would benefit Trump? Is it something what he will get the Nobel Peace Prize? Or he thinks that because he will end up in jail pretty soon, the Nobel Peace Prize maybe is not any more attractive to him?
Yeah, well, the Nobel Peace Prize may be far away, but the thing is, Venezuela, from what I understand, that the election was kind of corrupt. And then from what I understand, also they expropriated the oil and gas industry. And from information and belief, the economy is tanked, even though it was one of the wealthiest countries, and if not the wealthiest country in Latin America. But
Even if
instead
you're
they-
100%, what U.S. has to do with their election?
Oh, we have here called the Monroe Doctrine, Sasha.
No,
I don't
no
think you
longer.
remember
No.
that. Monroe Doctrine means, the Americas, including the Gulf of America, all that stuff is
How
ours,
do you do that?
including
How
Canada.
more successful you were in Cuba? Where is the Monroe Doctrine as Cuba is concerned? So Venezuela will be number
Well,
two.
you know, if Trump ever became a real powerful guy, he'd just take over Cuba. I don't know why we let them sit there and do what they do. I just take it over and say, forget it. You know, it's ours.
You can take
And
over
now do the same thing with Venezuela.
Finland.
Trump is being a nice guy. He's too nice to Venezuela. He's too nice to Cuba.
He has
We have a big military. We should just take him over and tell China and Russia to go.
for some time before he will be locked up in jail for
Yeah.
all this.
Well, maybe between now and the time he leaves office, we'll take
It's
over
running
Venezuela.
now.
That'd be
So
nice.
the Supreme Court now rules that if whatever he committed crimes are not part of his duty as the president, it's all punishable. So you can sue him. And our old friend, the special prosecutor, what's his name? Johnson. I forgot his name. So he's now busy preparing all the charges, and 34 felony counts are still there, and he will be still but punished by the judge, and all other charges are still there. Nothing disappeared. So get ready. Trump will be locked up in jail. I don't know for how long, maybe for 3 months, maybe 3 years, but he will be.
I suggest
just ask the AI if Maduro in Venezuela
Maduro.
could be overthrown, and they said unlikely that it would take. That he controls the military. He can, he was elected fraudulently. He cooked the election.
He cooked the election.
Yeah,
Okay.
according to UN observers, he lied about the vote, but he's
Well, the thing is, I don't think the U.S. is afraid of the Venezuelan military. Remember Iraq's military? They were like huge, strong. No one could come on. They got wiped out. You know. Hey, speaking of military, we have our friends from Asia have arrived. Dr. Sharif, who believes in peace, love, and the Asian way of life, which means don't get in these crazy wars. So peace and love, dude, over in Dhaka, baby. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
That is very interesting because I think Trump also following this Asian strategy and collaborate Asia and US outreach to Central Asia. According to my understanding, I'm observing.
We got feedback coming from it was Mike. It was Mark's feedback. Okay, go on.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, the US outreach to Central Asia.
He can just go on mute, and that would be easier, and he didn't have to click on at all.
Okay. Okay. U.S. outreach to Central Asia. I'm observing the meeting is seen as a strategic move by U.S. to gain influence in region long dominated by both Russia and increasing China. Uh, by this time, I think they also make relationship. Donald Trump administration make relationship in Central Asia, 5 countries like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and they are developing C5+1 format, which is very interesting for me. Beside that, if I focus on this, King of Thailand will make a state visit to China from November 13 to 17. It means that China also making relationship with the Thailand. The visit come to the invitations of Xi Jinping and makes its 50th anniversary of Thailand-China bilateral ties, which is very interesting for me because both of the USA and China want to make an influence and control over Asian market, which is very important, especially specifically very important for both of the countries, for USA and for China. Countries such as Japan, South Korea, and Asia Pacific indicates that stock markets, I think Sasha is expert for these things. It's increasing. On the other hand, I'm observing this semiconductor industries, AI-related firm, particularly focus on different kind of industries, and China doing excellent job through this process. So it's very interesting competition in between India, USA, and China. But definitely, I work with different US corporations for this thing. Definitely, I want more research, more innovations, more progression with these particular things. Third things, I always believe that youth are very important factor for us. Tomorrow I have a sessions on talent economy 5.0. I want to invite you all for this event. And I believe how I see this even political improvement in USA with Mamdani. The next elections, US elections, will be very interesting. I respect US culture because they are very big and democratic country. I believe after Mamdani, after this revolution, and as a socialist, this is very interesting political movement. Many Bangladeshi people, Indian people, Chinese students, youth communities, corporate people, government agencies, they really love how Mbani wins. And he get really huge coverage in Asian market, in Asian media. So I believe that this is very interesting, and next US election definitely will be very interesting, presidential election. So I want to request you all, let's support this talent economy, this youth, and this technocracy. Thank you.
I'm crying right now, but it has nothing to do with you. I was looking at the Micron stock. I bought it 64, then I unloaded it when the recession hit. It's now trading at like 239 a share. I bought it like, you know.
So you Nick and Sasha, as you are investors in the stock market, both of you buy Asian
I am such an
stocks,
idiot.
like company stock, or you are working in the Asian markets or invest in the Asian market?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because U.S. market, especially leading stocks like Nvidia, for example, and many others, they provide immense liquidity. There is a tenth of million shares are trading a day, so you can easily enter and exit your position. There are options available with incredible premium, as in Nvidia, for example. Palantir has great premiums and so on. So once you get into that league of trading the leading US stocks, there's nowhere else to go. You can only fly to Mars or maybe some other planet to find maybe something even better. Highly unlikely, though.
I'll translate, Dr. Shreve. The U.S. is the world's largest economy, but I'm kicking myself because I did all this analysis on Micron. I bought it, and then I unloaded it when I should have kept it because I put a bunch of money into real estate. I'm sitting there going like, I should have just held Micron because I knew it was going to explode. Well, I have some other positions. I'm just going to hold them. I'm just not going to, hopefully not liquidate them out again. It's one of the real problems if you're an investor. You look at something, you buy, it's good, you make a lot of money, you get out, rather than saying, hey, I'll just hold it and make more. Blah. Anyway, it's something you may not have to worry about. But yeah, Sasha's got a point. The real problem is that emerging markets compared to the U.S. economy is like night and day. The people here work like dogs. This isn't Spain. I mean, I love living here, but these people aren't working like dogs here. They're having a good time, which is different. Over in the U.S., it's like, man, every man for themselves, and every person who isn't gets left behind.
Yeah, we've been brainwashed into thinking that we need to work our asses off all the time. The average American work year is 1,800 hours, which isn't terrible, but compared to Germany, where they work 1,400 hours, and they do fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, like in Europe, it's not unusual to have a month or even 3 months off on vacation. In the U.S., it may be a week.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Dr. Reef, this is a different culture, and so when people come over here, they have no idea they're in a survival mode the minute they hit the shores. Then all of a sudden, here comes all these fantasy gifts from our liberals, and then they go, okay, we'll go rely on that too, because they'll be like Europe. But this isn't Europe. It is the United States.
Have in mind, Dr. Sharif, that most Americans, they live in poverty. Those who are working and those who are not working, it doesn't matter. Most of them, 60% if you wish, they are living poverty. They are not sure that tomorrow they will have anything for dinner. I'm not talking about steak. I'm not talking about bourguignon. I'm talking about a basic hamburger or even a plate of spaghetti. They are not sure. So don't envy Americans. Please don't.
Yeah.
But
when you were over here, you saw Dr. Sharif, all the homeless people, well.
So speaking from a position of not this plateau that Nick is speaking of, and outside of the country.
You mean the three of us that don't live in
the premium who've inherited money and then became a lawyer and then made money. So speaking from a position of the average individual, there are good things, there are bad things. As you know, I'm working on innovative ways, just like you are. There are people in the community that want to do things. So I think, Dr. Sharif, the things that you offer and the ideas that you offer would be well received in many locations throughout the U.S., from different communities, from the small towns of Bath, North Carolina, to the big cities of L.A. and on. So what you're talking about, utilizing the youth and the small time investments, because there are actually Bitcoin investors that's where the youth are. A lot of the youth are more so into the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies and that type of investments. So when we're talking about stocks and everything else, that's more of our generation and above, because more are looking at this cryptocurrency as their way out because it's quick and easy money and it's high stakes. But in terms of the innovations and all these other things, like cybersecurity is huge. They're over in North Carolina alone. They're roughly about 20,000 cybersecurity jobs that you can just pick up and go. But that's an innovation that you're talking about with the stuff that you're doing. When you're looking at AI and learning around AI itself is going to take a lot of jobs, but you have to learn that system to be able to play the game. And what you're talking about is trying to learn that system and being in that youthful market, because what a lot of times on this show and on the other shows, we're speaking from plateaus that aren't in the youthful area or the youth arena, which is what you're great for, Doc, is that's where a lot of the population is, and we're forgetting that they are there. And we need to give them opportunities, and the opportunities are there. I mean, from learning AI, from getting into fusion technology, because why? The energy technology is the energy of the future. Why is it the energy of the future? Because AI is blowing up. Even though there's a bubble right now in AI, and it's definitely going to burst. It's going to harm a lot of people and a lot of companies. That happened with the internet. What do we all use right now? The internet. So it's going to be the same thing with AI, but we haven't learned and figured out a way to make that the way it's going to be in the future. Right now, it's a new toy everybody's playing with, and it's going to break. Just like every new toy, it breaks. But how do you rebuild it? How do you make it into something that's going to be useful for the future? That's where we should have that discussion about AI and where we should go.
Let me correct you. It's not that AI will be broken. AI will not. But many companies that are investing or trying to invest or raising money, millions, tens of millions of dollars, very few of them will stay around in a couple of years, 3 years from now. That's the biggest problem. So whoever will be burned, investors in these companies, but not the AI. AI is here to stay. AI will not disappear, not even close by. So investors, that's a problem. But I don't believe that a lot of young people are investing in AI simply because they don't have money to invest.
Oh, big problem.
Completely agree with everything you said, Sasha. It
Big
is
problem.
so true. And again, that's when we're talking, that's that plateau that I think that we speak from so often, and we forget that we're speaking from that plateau, which this is why, again, I love it when Dr. Sharif talks, because he's speaking from a different level. He's speaking, not saying that he can't speak from that giant level of plateau, but no, he's speaking for the youth. He's actually giving a voice to what they're talking about. And a lot of times what we end up doing is turning a blind eye to that rather than translating, in terms of financial literacy, how does that work in today's world? Looking at financial literacy is huge, yes, but how does that work in today's world? You have kids making millions of dollars, making all of us embarrassed, doing what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So how are they doing that?
Yeah. One thing, Jatovi, I just want to add with you. If you see the Asia Pacific has around 750 million youth, those who are under 30 years old, and they have a huge contributions right now in economy. From there, 10%, try to understand, 10%, because of the culture of startup, you can find many billionaires from this youth, from this Asia Pacific. 10% youth heavily contributing this Asia Pacific economy. If you want to understand the why China is rising, why Singapore, or why India, here is youth. All of the youth entrepreneurs, youth politicians, youth startup, and all of the things. You can check even from 750 millions, 10% youth actually. So I can understand Sasha from different cultures, and he may not visit Asia Pacific. So if you visit this Asia Pacific, there are a lot of opportunity. Why is China is growing? China basically heavily investing in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Malaysia, let's say Indonesia, Africa. Okay, that is the things. They only focusing on this emerging economy, when US actually focus on this tariff, this fight, all of the big company, AI company, this and that. China basically focus on this emerging economy because they know if we invest $10, we can get more returns compared to the developed nations. They can understand if they invest in USA or in Canada or in London, if they invest in Bangladesh, it will be better outcome for them. That is one of the biggest issue. Number one, youth. They have a lot of talents. 10% youth from 750 millions, 75 millions people, they are contributing this economy as an entrepreneurs. And second things like emerging economy, always you get good returns. You can try, let's say with micro initiative. With your micro initiative, you can invest in, let's say, Dhaka Stock Exchange, Chittagong Stock Exchange, or real estate in Bangladesh, or real estate in Malaysia or Dubai. I'm sure you can get a huge financial success. That is one of the secret sauce I'm sharing with you. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sharif, I agree with you. And when we're talking about youth, and you're providing numbers in Southeast Asia, Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you on that. However, when I thinking about youth, I'm thinking about primarily North America. In North America, especially in the United States, situation is completely different. A lot of youth are coming from the broken families. A lot of youth are living in poverty. A lot of youth, they are rebellious. They don't want, most of them, I'm not talking about all, but most of them, they don't want to learn anything. They are pathetic in their personal relationships. They cannot even invite a girl for even McDonald's or anything like that. I don't think that no, McDonald's is out of league because the average dinner in McDonald's now costs $20. So if he will have to even pay just for himself, forget about the girl, he will never make it anyway. Okay, so
I understand your views. Just last year, I was in California with Stanford. Few of the young, talented people, I can mention their name. They are from USA. Koa, Nia, and Carlos. They are American. Honestly speaking, right now they are working in my World Talent Economic Forum team. They are so involved with their work. They really very good professionals. Uh, they are very hardworking, and their commitment is very good. If I compare, example, with these other Africans or Asian youth, they are very good. But their major burden, you are correct, like they finish their study, they have used government loans or study loans and this and that. So I'm helping these people. I say, why don't you try with this Asia Pacific markets? Why don't you focus? Even you can come, you can visit, you can get a good jobs in Bangladesh or in India, even in Singapore. So they are working with me. I think that they need good mentorship. And Sasha, you can help American youth or Canadian youth. If they get proper guidelines, what you are discussing, economically, they can get rid of their loans and their problem and crisis and everything. And I'm very honest with you, just focus on emerging economy. Trump need to just understand these globes. I do not know why American president always focus on all of the big issues. They have to be good strategic friend of all of the emerging economy. That's it. They can make tons of financial benefit and everything through this process.
Well,
They have to understand the economic properly.
Well, Dr. Sharif, how about this? I think one of the problems that we do have, which is causing a lot of issues, is, and this comes from top down, Trump has amplified it, but it has been for a little while this way. If we could take away this adversarial view of the Asian market, dealing with China and so forth, and so on and so forth, and looking at how you just said that there are a lot of entrepreneurs, 10%, am I correct?
Yes, 10%.
So you had 10% with a lot of wealth in the area that you're talking about in terms of that entrepreneurial area.
Yes.
If you talk about China itself has a lot of entrepreneurs, or are you talking about all of the
Asia Pacific?
Okay.
Asia Pacific.
So if you take those 10% of those investors, what are a lot of entrepreneurs in the US looking for? Investment. So how can you tie those two together when you have such an adversarial view of those individuals coming from there? So that 10%, you're already cutting yourself off from getting that investment. So for example, in the things that I'm doing in Durham, North Carolina, investment is huge. And I'm working on investment on building things and building stuff. And that 10% I would appreciate, because I think, again, if I am an entrepreneur, having those individuals and that capital available for me to build and grow and do more is something as an entrepreneur that would be great. But cutting that off and then you're turning it and saying, well, it can only come from this group, these financial investors, because we're turning away because we have such an adversarial view. The youth, as you're talking about, I think the youth mindset is where we're beginning to overcome this for some, but we still need we have a long way to get there, especially what's going on now.
No, that is the thing. This World Talent Economic Forum working. Let's say this Saturday, I have the entrepreneurial development program in Chuet, Chittagong Business Incubations. This is largest business incubations in South Asia, so a lot of youth are coming. They want to develop AI startup, drone startup, and all of the things. But beautiful thing is that, like, if you work with these peoples, you can find they have energy. Definitely, they have money, and they have innovations. So that is the things. Actually, global north and global south, we can work together. You can find it's very easy compared to how I see Australia, how I see Europe, how I see this North America making business compared to these big countries. In Bangladesh, very, very easy, cheap, affordable, and you can find lot of people to support you. So that is the things World Talent Economic Forum is doing. Maybe we can. So I think that, Nick, what you lost from your stock market, let's focus on emerging economy. You can develop another venture in emerging economy. Maybe in
Hey,
Chittagong.
Dr. Sharif, hold on a second. Dr. Sharif, just really quickly, because I had the pleasure, because I was watching a slaughter of a basketball game yesterday. It was Indiana against Alabama, A&M, or one of them other A&M schools and everything like that. But afterwards, there was a interview, because they do these interviews of people connected with the Big Ten and everything like that. And who they interviewed yesterday was very fascinating. And it kind of plays into what you're talking about, because he started as a young person. He's kind of the counter to Trump and everything, but they interviewed Mark Cuban. And one of the things that Mark Cuban said he learned from Bobby Knight was that a lot of people are too busy trying to have the will to win when they need to have the will to prepare, and all along those lines. And he had some other very good points as well in that sense, because he definitely started, he's like I said, the opposite of Trump. Trump was given a golden spoon and all along those lines, whereas he started with a family that, as he said, he thinks his dad, the biggest money his dad ever made was $40,000, and he got him to learn how to do everything from some blue collar kind of work and all along those lines before he became the billionaire that he is now and everything like that. But he definitely had some good points about how we can start businesses and encourage our young people, because he started his first business, which was a pub, when he was in college, and he had a couple of other businesses that he talked about as well, because he's even acknowledged some of the things that he did. And by the way, Nick, he had an interesting point, because he said that broadcast.com was the YouTube before YouTube, and he owned broadcast.com. He said that was one of the biggest mistakes he made. Was he probably lost trillions of dollars because he knew that it was going to be a big business, but he didn't activate that big business in terms of the money and everything like that. So sometimes I think that's the problem that we have, is that we got these big ideas here at Pod TV, but we're not doing enough to make them happen. And this might be a $1 billion or $1 trillion business that we find out later. But it was just interesting to hear him talking about audio, Micro Solutions, AudioNet, and broadcast.com, which were the precursors to Spotify, the precursors to YouTube, and the precursors to a lot of other things that are making a lot of money right now. But he had that situation. And like I said, I'll go back and listen to the interview, because I try to dig it up and even hear more of his points. But it was a very fascinating interview. It stopped me from even cooking dinner last night, because it was very fascinating hearing Mark Cuban and what he was talking about in the sense of being a business leader.
Yeah. Well, there are some good stocks over in the DACA. And apparently, there's 2 stock exchanges they have where Sharif is. And I was looking at one stock, Bex & Co., which looks pretty good. It's pharmaceutical. It's up 29% this year. So that's pretty impressive.
Nick, you are already, Sasha, and all of our friends, you are very popular to Stock Exchange Commission chairman. Already the Stock Exchange Commission chairman who runs this Dhaka Stock Exchange and Chittagong Stock Exchange, they observe our this Monday shows, David Walker economic shows, and he also invite you all in Bangladesh to help stock exchange, support stock exchange, bring new innovations for the stock exchange. So I'm a very good brand ambassador of Pod TV, and you should support talent economy a lot.
Yeah, well, the thing is, as long as it's easy to buy, and you can buy some stock on the DACA, and they have a Chittagong Stock Exchange too. Apparently, how do you pronounce it?
Chittagong.
Chittagong.
Okay,
Chittagong,
Chittagong.
whatever. Apparently, you have two stock exchanges
Yeah,
there.
it's like a next Singapore in South Asia,
Yeah.
and a lot of business actually happening. I will visit, and definitely I am promoting Pot TVs this Saturday. It's one of the largest business incubation, Chittagong Business Incubation. So
Well, I'm going to put some of your stocks on my list and maybe start buying some. I got to
okay.
figure out what to do. Because the thing is, there's no coverage here in terms of the stocks, so I have to do my own work. But I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm still kicking myself. I should have held Micron.
If you want to make friendship or collaborations with, I think many corporations, those who are listed under Chittagong and Dhaka Stock Exchange, I already promote our this YouTube channels of this Pot TVs, and it will be very good collaborations for
Yes,
Pot TV. And
sounds like
I
it.
think
Hey,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Nick, just really quickly, because I brought it up last week and people just kind of like dismissed me when I brought in everything like that. But how much do you invest in other stocks from other worlds? Because I know that I mentioned yesterday that there is good stock on the Nigerian stock market. There's good stock on the Ghanaian stock market in Africa. So a number of these countries have their own stock market, like Bangladesh does, and everything like that. So there are a number of stocks that you probably could investigate. But when last time people kind of dissed me because they were like thinking that these were not worth it, but some of these companies actually do well.
Lord knows, I look for opportunities everywhere, Mark. I'm a greedy capitalist, so I don't really care where it's from, as long as it's making money and makes me money. I'm okay with it, so I don't really care. But what you want to do is just make sure that the company is in the right sector and has sound fundamentals and good governance. And if they're doing all that stuff correctly, you end up buying the stock. But that's it. You got to look at each one individually. It takes time. And I also have some clients who have come to me in Europe and they say, well, we'd like you to help us invest, but we have one rule. I said, what's that? We don't want anything in the United States. I like that. I like that. Modern investing and Dr. Milan. Okay, their rule was we'll invest everywhere, but not in the United States.
There are some logistical problems if you want to buy stock on, you said Nigerian or Mali's stock market?
A Nigerian or Ghanaian.
Okay. You cannot do it directly as US or in Canadian.
You have to buy ADRs.
No, you have to go through specialized brokers who are dealing with this type of countries and with this type of stocks. So most likely what available vehicle for you is to buy the fund, something like ETF, some country funds. I mean, there are ETFs investing only in India or only in Nigeria. I never heard about that, but I would assume that there could be a fund that is doing exactly that. So you will have to buy units of the fund. So now you're taking a gamble that the company itself will not screw you by doing fraudulent financial statements and so on. Then you have to be protected somehow from the fund itself screwing you by doing all kind of insider buying and selling and so on. So I'm yet to see anybody who ever made any money in this developing countries.
Well, they
Like
have.
I said, there's a couple of people that I know that
The thing is, like Alibaba is a Chinese company. I've traded their stock before.
Yeah.
And again, it's something I wish I had held because I bought it like under 100 and it's now 164. So really, the thing is, it's your time with them in the market that makes a big difference. And the real problem you have in the United States isn't that. The problem is people in the U.S., at least the bottom half, are not trained. Plus, they don't have the money to invest in the market. So because you have zero financial education and you have such a horrible K through 12 education system, you don't train people to invest. They're there to buy Apple products, but not buy Apple stock, Sasha. And that's the problem you have in the United States. So you have a continuing underclass that just keeps repeating itself as opposed to saying, stop the Apple buy the Apple stock.
Nick, here's the biggest contradiction in your idea of a financial education. Trust me, most of the people who don't have money, they do not need financial education of any kind because they don't have money. They cannot use whatever knowledge you will provide. They just can't use it because they have no money.
I know, but see that goes back to basic financial education, which is to learn how to accumulate money.
You keep
And
going
with
to
that,
this.
it's
Don't
Let me-
waste your time.
you have to start somewhere. Like one guy said, even if you put
you
even
have
if you
to
put
start somewhere.
$20 into
Hold
the
on,
market,
Nick,
you
Provide
take $20, you got to start this way. But hold
financial
on, look,
services to
Nick,
those who have
don't
money.
buy the Big Mac, buy the
Nick,
McDonald's.
what you're missing,
I wonder how
what you're
McDonald's
missing is what Sasha is saying, is that there are people that do not have the money to trade or the money to do as you're asking them to do. It's not a matter of wasting time and effort and so on and so forth. I can tell you about a Ferrari all day. Mark, you know what? The fastest
I'm not
car,
talking about
roughly
a
the
Ferrari.
fastest car from 0 to 100 right now is sitting right there. It's the Rimac Rivera. It's a four-engine vehicle. I bet you if you drive that car, it'd be great. I can tell you about that car all day. Beautiful car. But you know what? It doesn't matter to Mark because Mark can't afford that. It's $2.some million. Sasha can't afford that either. So why the heck am I going to sit here and waste time on that is one thing. But then on top of that, how about this? How about I give them I first invest in them, allowing their schools to be improved so they can actually get the skills to get to that 2.4 million and afford that car. So when you're starting off saying that people are too lazy or people are too no, you just got to understand that the communities and where you're speaking from is a position of privilege. This goes back to the very beginning with what I talked about with Dr. Sharif. Dr. Sharif was doing a great thing with trying to bring that innovation and give the people the skills and bring the people to the market and say, hey, look, there are these opportunities that you can have and they don't cost that much money or they don't cost you anything. That's where the youth are. But Nick, you're speaking from a position of privilege. I got all this money. You should do just like I do. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
I see. So you have excuses rather than.
Now you go to excuses.
Yeah.
It's because
It's not excuses and everything like that. It's really quick.
you
I
want to
can't do anything
You're not doing
because I can't do anything.
You're
can't
actually
do that.
preaching like a
You
street
just
preacher
don't
who
want to
doesn't
do
care
anything.
about what everybody
No,
else.
that's not the case and everything. Just really quick because we need to
Podcast.
wrap up and we got other shows that'll be on the network shortly, like Barbara and other
I'll
things
be
like that.
back.
But I
Yes,
will
I'll
just
be
say
back.
really quickly that one of the points that Mark Cuban made, and like I said, I'm gonna find others as well, was when he bought the Dallas Mavericks. One of the biggest lessons he learned was that people were not, and Jacoby, you'll love this and everything, was that people were needing the experience and everything like that, because it wasn't about the win-loss record. It was about the experience that he could give them, and that's how he made all this money, because he gave them an experience for the entire family, and then people bought into the Mavericks as a team and everything. So that was an interesting point that he made, was it was more about the experience than the actual game itself, because when he asked people, and he did like.
If you look at the jobs that people ask for these days and people coming out of college or the youth trying to do stuff, when you're asking for 5 to 10 years of experience in a particular position that is an entry-level position, how do you expect these youth to get those jobs?
No, not that kind of experience. You're misunderstanding.
No, but that rolls into it.
Right. Say what?
That rolls into it. What Mark Cuban does, yes, by you talking about giving the experience to these individuals.
Right.
A lot of those individuals that come out of Mark Cuban's group can roll into any job because they
You're
get
thinking about it from the job standpoint. That's not what he was talking about. He was talking about the experience of the fan, because he was saying when he did basically a market study, he did a market study of the fans and found out that a lot of the fans were not really excited about going to the game. So he was trying to figure out a way to bring the fans in.
That's a whole different story.
Right.
I know about that. I can tell you about that one all day. That's something I had to deal with.
You have to deal with that regularly because the Bulls do that, but that's what he was referring to.
Well,
and everything. But on that note,
they're from other groups that I deal with. Yeah,
I just use them as an example. We can use the Hurricanes. We can use a ton of groups, whether you deal with them or not. Even the Blues Festival.
The Blues Festival.
Yeah. because it was not just about the blues. It was not just about the blues. It was about other things that were going on in that venue, as you know, and I know. So some people were coming not even for the blues. So like I said, I knew folks that didn't even like that type of music, but they liked the experience. And on that note, we're going to get on. On that note, we're going to get on out of here. Sasha, I know we'll have a great conversation about some of these important chess games. I've been seeing some of them on tomorrow when we record. And of course, we'll have the conversation around Russia and Ukraine, because I never got around to asking the two questions I was going to ask, and y'all can think about it for tomorrow, because I keep hearing our media talk about that city that you were talking about yesterday and how the fall of it is detrimental to Ukraine, and our media is making it seem like it's a big loss. But when I hear you talk about it, it's not as big a loss. But we can go into that later and everything along those lines. And then also the rise of white nationalism with Fontes, which is another thing that I was going to bring up that I didn't get to, but we can bring that up on other shows. But right now, let's get on out of here.
Okay.